one of the things about God, or in the heart of God, that's been most astonishing, stifling, just truly left me at times in a daze, not even understanding how to comprehend these things. My mind, in the purest sense of the word, is just blown. When I have seen in the heart of God, I believe even before I was saved, when I saw in the heart of God that God was self-sustaining. He was self-existent. He was all-glorious. He was perfectly worshipped, perfectly glorious, and perfectly loved without us. Just He in Himself, worshiping the Son, worshiping the Father worshiping the Son, the Father and the Son worshiping the Spirit, and the Spirit worshiping the Godhead. And they're perfectly worshipped, perfectly glorious, and perfectly loved, and experiencing the highest pitch of love that can ever be fathomed or imagined by the mind of finite men, and then more beyond that, because it was infinite love, infinite worship, eternal glory was being experienced in the Godhead for all of eternity. That means no time, forever. And then God rent the silence of eternity to create the world, to create the heavens and the earth, to create the deep and everything that dwelt in the deep, to create all the animals and all the creeping things and everything in it, but not that for its own sake, but that He might create man. Isn't that what Proverbs 8 says? That His delights were in the sons of men, and He delighted in the habitable parts of the earth. God created it all because He delighted in men. God was alone in eternity, with Himself perfect in and of Himself. But because eternity knows no time, forever God was thinking about His church. God was thinking about His bride. God was thinking about you and me. God was thinking about us, not an ethereal, unseen, unknown, faceless, nameless body of people, but actual persons He was seeing. For whom He did foreknow, them He did also predestinate to be conformed to the image of God. The reason why this whole destiny is playing out before our eyes is because God knew you before the world began. Before creation, God knew you and had elected you. You were ever in the mind of God, those whom He loved. God was, if it could be said, discontent without a bride. This self-existent, self-sustaining, all-glorious, all-worshipful, all-loving God that was free from any need of creatures to worship Him, love Him, or glorify Him. Yet He rent the silence, the perfect bliss and serenity of eternity to create time and space. This blip in eternity where He creates a bride for Himself. It's amazing looking in Genesis chapter 1. God created man, male and female created He, him. In His own image created He, them. That was at the beginning. In the beginning, woman was an afterthought. Woman was immediately in the mind of God when He created man, the chief, the crown jewel of all of His creation, whom He created in His own image, whom He breathed into His nostrils the breath of life. And He created them, though it was only man at first, He created them male and female. That was the image of God. This was what was in the heart of God. And then a process of an unknown time passed, when Adam goes on his pursuit and goes throughout all the animals in the creation of God, and he found no counterpart. He found no compatibility with any other creature. And God is stirring this desire in the heart of Adam. But why? It wasn't because they had fallen and there was sin, and so because there was sin in this creation, it was not good for man to be alone. No, in a perfect, gracious, unfallen estate, it was not good that man was alone. What's God trying to communicate? We know that man and woman, this first relationship that God ever created between a male and a female, a man and a woman, a marriage, what God ordained, we know that the whole purpose is to communicate Christ in the church. This great mystery, Christ in the church. Before the fall, it wasn't good that man should be alone. Why did God ordain it this way? Why didn't He just create woman with man? Why was there this time? Why was there this stirring of desire? Why was there this violent altercation between God and man, where God put man in a deep sleep, opened up His side? Does that sound familiar to you? Christ, riven side. God clave the side of man in this deep sleep, pulled forth a rib, wounded him, and then closed up the flesh instead thereof, aroused him out of his sleep, and there is man and woman. And it was perfect, and it was good, and it's the fullness of this expression, before sin. God's trying to communicate something. God is foreshowing that He will wound Himself in order to get His bride. That's the purpose of God. That's the whole reason of creation. God is getting a bride, and then it's all going to pass away, and the heavens and the earth shall be consumed with fervent heat. And they'll all perish and all wax old as doth the garment, and God's going to replace them, and there shall be a new heaven and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness, and God and His bride forever. The end. That's it. That's the whole purpose. It's all going to change. It's all going to pass away. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 says, it's all going to pass away. And there will be Christ and His bride for all of eternity, because God has vowed, God has assured us in His infallible, immutable, eternal counsels revealed through His written word, confirmed by the witness of His Spirit, that He will never, never, never be alone again throughout all of eternity. He was alone for all of eternity. However you can wrap your mind around that. And then vowed to get Himself a bride because He would never be alone again. And we're joined to the Godhead. However you can wrap your mind around that. Christ desired the Son, God the Son, and God the Spirit, praying to God the Father. What did He cry? I will that they be with me where I am. He wants a bride. My desire, the desire of the heart of God, is that we would be with Him where He is forever. That's all this is. That's all this time and space is. It's just to get a bride, and then it's over, and we are forever with the Lord. And we shall be pillars in His house, no more going in and out. We're with God for all of eternity. It's one of the most amazing, mind-blowing, stifling concepts I've ever thought to entertain. Truly, it's holy ground. You have to make sure that you're speaking with very careful words and speech. You speak about these things. This is the whole purpose of God. This self-existent, self-sustaining God swore to never be alone again. So here we are, His church. Here we are, being saved from this unto our generation, to be ever joined to our husband. And let's sing this song, brethren. Let's stand, sing.